Hey everybody, wanted to get one more video in for the day. It is March 25th. Today is Greek Independence Day, and it marks the day when we started our struggle for independence against the Ottoman Turks. And the slogan was liberty or death. That was the slogan that was used in order to rally the Greeks to fight for independence. Interestingly enough, as the struggle and the fight was going on, the Greeks got help from the French, from the British, and from the Russians in order for us to fight for our independence and to gain our independence. So today is a big day for Greece. It's also a big day for Orthodoxy, actually, for Greek Orthodoxy. And I wonder if the other Orthodox faiths are also celebrating today. This is the day in the Greek Orthodox Church where it is believed that the angel Gabriel told Mary the good news. So that is also a big event for this Friday the 25th. Yesterday we had big protests in Serbia because yesterday the 24th marked the day that in 1999 NATO decided to bomb Serbia in what was a 78-day bombing campaign against Serbia, and there were big marches in Belgrade to commemorate that horrific action by NATO. Interestingly enough, Albright passed away a day before marking that March 24th day of NATO's attack on Serbia. Isn't that interesting? I find that very interesting that Madeleine Albright passed away a day before marking that event, because that was a war. That was a terrible war that she spearheaded. So just a little bit of I don't want to say history, but just kind of going over what the last 2 days kind of meant. Now let's go through what's a dead end? I thought I was walking somewhere. It's a dead end. Let's walk back. So let's go over the big news of the day, which is the Russian Ministry of Defense has come out with a bunch of statements, including the latest numbers with regards to casualties and those injured in the conflict on the Russian side, as well as their estimates on the Ukraine side. Now, the Russian Ministry of Defense is saying, and I'm pulling out my phone so I can read it and make sure I get this right, that at the suggestion of the Ukrainian leadership, the country has become a haven for 6,595 foreign mercenaries and terrorists from 62 states. They are not subject to the rules of war. They will be ruthlessly destroyed. Guys, Liz Truss, people like Liz Truss, the foreign secretary for the UK, who encourages people to go to Ukraine and fight, or Zelensky, who encourages people to go to Ukraine and fight, stop. Because you're hearing it here straight from the Russian Ministry of Defense. These mercenaries, if captured, will have zero rights under the Geneva Convention for war. Zero. They will be treated as poorly as you can be treated by the Russian military and by the Russian legal system, if they're even afforded a legal system. So it is such a bad idea to go and fight as a mercenary in a war that is essentially over. It is won by the Russians. The Russians have full control of everything that is taking place in this conflict. Some more statements from the Russian Ministry of Defense. Ukraine has no organized reserves left. Once again, this is from the Russian Ministry of Defense. If you believe it or not, I'm just reading to you the statements that they have given from the Russian General Staff. Ukraine has no organized reserves left. Ukrainian Air Force and air defense system has been almost completely destroyed. The country's navy has ceased to exist. The main task of the first stage of the Russian operation in Ukraine has been completed. Keep note, the first stage has been completed. The combat potential of the Ukraine troops has been significantly reduced. The Lugansk People's Republic liberated 93% of the territory, and the Donetsk 54% of their territory. And the battle in Mariupol continues. So Mariupol has not been fully taken over by the Russian military. There is a mop-up going on right now. So it is fierce city center fighting. The number of foreign mercenaries, according to the general staff, is declining. And what else do I want to say? Here we go. This is the big news. As of March 25th, 2022, 1,351 Russian servicemen have been killed. 3,825 have been injured. These are the numbers according to the Russian Ministry of Defense. Over the month, the losses of Ukrainian troops has amounted to about 30,000 people, including more than 14,000 irretrievable and about 16,000 sanitary. So those are the numbers that the Russian Ministry of Defense is giving out. I tend to believe the numbers of the Russian troops that have been killed, because I remember I did a video like about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and that number was like at around 350 that they reported. So the 1,000, what was it, 1,300, 1,500 that they gave, I mean, it kind of makes sense. What was that number that they gave? 1,351. So say my video where they gave the first numbers of Russian killed at around 300 and something, and say 2 weeks later it's 1,300. Okay, I think it lines up if you're to believe the first stats that they gave out. So that's from the Ministry of Defense. The Ukraine numbers also kind of make sense if you take into consideration that I think it's pretty well confirmed that you had around 14,000 Azov guys, dug in to Mariupol. I mean, they were entrenched there, and they did not leave. They did not surrender, and they fought. And if you take those 14,000 and say, I don't know, half of them have been killed in action, I think the numbers for the Ukraine KIAs tend to make sense. Some people may say they're on the high side, perhaps. But if you just take a look at Mariupol, I think the Ukraine military suffered big losses there. And then you take a look at the cauldron that's forming in the Donbass, as well as Izium, the city that the Russians just took, and all the other cities that they have taken to form the cauldron. I think it lines up, but that's just my opinion. Let me know in the comments down below. I'm sure there are a lot of people who are experts who can, dissect these numbers. It's a statement from the Russian Ministry of Defense, so it's pretty easy to find. As far as the NATO numbers, which they gave at, what did they say, 15,000 Russian military have died, or was it 30,000? Something like 15,000 dead and 30,000 injured were the numbers that NATO gave out for the Russian losses. I think that's absolute just nonsense. And Andrei Martyanov, as well as Alexander in his last video, but a real professional analyst, Andrei Martyanov, kind of gave a really good summary as to why the Pentagon's numbers, the 15,000 Russian killed, is BS. And basically, in a nutshell, what he said is that if we're to believe those numbers that NATO is pushing out with regards to Russians killed in fighting, this 15,000 number, then that would mean that more Russian soldiers died right now in Ukraine compared with the Red Army deaths during World War II at the hands of Germany in Ukraine, in the Donbass, just in that part of the Donbass. Andrei said, his point was saying that the Ukraine army has killed, percentage-wise, proportionally, more Russian soldiers in 28 days of fighting than what the Germans killed in 41 days of fighting in the same area in the Donbass during World War II. And that's the German army. We're talking about the best army, one of the best armies in history that was assembled. And the Ukraine army of today, if you believe the Pentagon, has killed more Russian soldiers without controlling the air, without controlling the sea, and having inferior weapons and inferior training, and no supply lines and no logistics and no communication lines. So the point that Andrei is making, Martianov, is very, very compelling, and I tend to believe it. Actually, it's hard not to believe his rationale, and the guy's an expert. He's a real pro, and he's objective. He's an objective analyst as well. I mean, even though he's Russian, I think he's very objective, extremely credible, very smart. I'll put a link to his blog post down below, so you guys can read how he breaks down the numbers, because he breaks down the numbers and he makes a compelling case why the NATO numbers, 15,000 and 30,000, these killed in action numbers, are complete bogus. Anyway, those are the numbers from the Ministry of Defense, and I just wanted to update everybody as to what's going on there. I don't have anything else to report. What else? Van der Leyen came out with a statement and said that they're not going to buy Russian gas, and Russia blackmailing the EU, those days are over. I don't know, when did Russia ever blackmail the EU to buy gas? Did Russia force Germany? Did they force Greece to say buy gas or else? No, I mean, never. So I mean, I love the words that she uses, the blackmailing of the EU to buy gas. Don't buy the gas then. I think that's a simple answer to her statement. You don't want to buy gas from Russia? Don't buy it from Russia. Buy it somewhere else. That's simple. Anyway, Ursula von der Leyen talking tough. The worst German defense minister in history. I'll leave it on this little note with regards to Ursula von der Leyen. She was so bad as a German defense minister that she would have her troops. She would have the German troops, the German military, train with broomsticks because she didn't have adequate weapons for them. That's how bad she is. Anyway, so she's going to handle all of Europe's energy needs, and she's going to bring Europe through this energy crisis, this self-inflicted energy crisis. Anyway, everybody, that is the video from Greece, the 25th of March, Independence Day here in Greece. I hope everyone has a great Friday. Take care. TheDuran.locals.com. Take care.